Welcome back, students. In today's video, we will be looking at the mathematics performance task paper. Paper lasts for 1 hour, 30 minutes. And let's get to the instructions. All right, so the general instruction says you're to read the introduction to the task below, then answer all questions that follow. All answers must be written in this booklet. Okay, so here's the introduction to the task. All right, let me zoom it first so we can see everything on the screen at once, and I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can follow along as I read. All right, so it says starting a chicken farm. Your school wants to start a chicken farm in order to provide meat for the canteen and to raise funds for the school. There is a plot of unused land to the back of the school that the principal has identified to place a chicken coop for the farm. You have been asked to help your principal to determine the number of chickens the coop will fit, determine the number of feeders needed, and to calculate the cost of the feeders needed. All right, so let's get to the first question. All right, let's see how best to put this on the screen. All right, so it says the rectangular base of the chicken coop has a length of 10 meters and a width of 4 meters. You're to draw the outline of the base of the chicken coop in the grid below. Each square represents 1 meter square. So we know the length and the width. We need to draw. Okay, so that's all you would need to do. Draw the rectangular base with a length of 10 and a width of 4 to get your marks for this question. Okay, so you have this grid. You can pretty much choose to put your base anywhere on this sheet. Let me see where I'm going to put mine. Let me use blue. And I'm going to put mine. Okay, so what we're going to do is count off 10 squares. Okay, 10 units. Each square represents 1 meter. So we're going to count off 10 squares, and then we're going to count off 4. Okay, so I'm going to start here. Somewhere in the middle. You guys can start. You could start at the edge. It's up to you where you start. Let me make this line a bit thicker. Okay, so we can start here. And let me count 10 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my 10 stops here. And then 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. As I said, there is nothing that tells you exactly where. You can put it wherever. You could have put it at one of the edges. It doesn't matter. I just chose to put mine here. Now, I'm using, again, guys, mine will not be very accurate, but you might have your rule and so on in your exam to be able to draw this a lot more accurately than I am, but you get the idea of what I'm doing. Okay. And like I said, guys, you could have done it anywhere within this grid. As long as the length is 10 and the width is 4, you could have placed it anywhere. Okay, so this is 10. And this is 4. Okay, so this is the rectangular base for mine. All right, so there you have it. That takes care of question 1. Let's get to question 2. Question 2 says, what is the area of the base of the coop in meters square? So remember, we're doing area. It has to be given in meters square. Okay, if you do not have that, then your answer is not going to be complete. So we need to understand or remember what the area for, what the formula is for area to use that. Of course, in a previous video, a student or someone had asked if you have to multiply. To find the area of this, you would necessarily need to multiply. You could also just add up all the squares that's contained inside, but of course, remembering to have meter squared. But it's actually when you multiply that you end up multiplying the meter times meter that gives you the square. So you want to be careful that even if you're adding all the squares inside, you remember that, and it give you the clue there that it must be in meter square. So area equals length times width. So the area is equal to 10 meters. What's going on here? All right, so something is going off with my thing here. 10 meters times 4 meters. So the area is equal to 40 meters square. Remember, the meter square is very, very important. That little 2 up the top, hopefully I can put it in, no problem. All right, that doesn't look right. Let me do it again. Meters square. Okay, all right, there you have it. So that's it for question 2. What's the area of the base of the cube in meters square? Area is length times width, so it's 10 meters times 4 meters. That gives us an area of 40 meters square. Now, question 3 says, each chicken needs a floor space of approximately half meter square. What is the maximum number of chickens that will fit in the coop? Show your work, okay? So, a half meter square for one chicken, that means for 1 meter square, we could put 2 chickens in that space, okay? So I'm just gonna write as much as possible here. So half meter square is equal to 1 chicken so 1 meter square is equal to 2 chickens. Okay. So 40 meters squared, right, would be equal to 40 times 2, because 2 chicken in each of those 40 times 2 chickens, okay? All right, so 40 meters square. So since 1 meter square, we could fit 1 chicken, we could fit 2 chickens in each meter square, okay? So half meter square for 1 chicken, 1 meter square, we could fit 2 chickens. So for 40 meters square, we could fit 40 times 2, because 2 in each of those. So the maximum number of chicken, you could make a sentence, you could write a sentence. Just using this so that I'm able to do it a lot faster. Maximum number of chickens that will fit in the coop is 80. Okay, and remember that would have been 40 times 2. Okay, that's it for question 3. Paper is very easy so far. Let's get to question 4. Now it says the table below shows the number of chickens that 3 parents wish to donate. Use the information in the table to help you answer question 4. So Mrs. Gray would like to donate 100 chickens. Mr. White would like to donate 70 chickens. Miss Brown would donate 50 chickens. So question 4 says, based on your response in question 3, which parent's donation would you suggest the school take? And you're going to explain your choice. So let's go back to question 3 to see what our response was, and then see which parent's donation we would most likely be able to take. Okay. So the maximum number of chickens that can fit is 80. So Mrs. Gray's donation of 100 would be too many chickens. Mr. White, 70. It's a little bit less than the capacity, but it's closer to the maximum capacity than Miss Brown, who wants to donate 50. So it would be better based on the fact that the coop holds can hold 80. All right, 100 is too much, 50 is too little. So Mr. White with 70, that seems to be the most ideal number of chickens. So question 4, based on your response, which parent's donation would you suggest the school take? And you're going to explain your choice. Again, I'm going to try to type it as quickly as possible. All right, so so you have to make sure you're writing this in sentence form. I would suggest that the school takes Mr. White's donation of 70 chickens because the maximum the maximum number of chickens that can fit inside the coop is fit inside the all right, do some corrections here, guys. That can fit inside the coop is 80. Mr. White's donation is closest to the number of chickens that can fit. I hope I'm not repeating myself. I would suggest that the school takes Mr. White's donation of 70 chicken because the maximum number of chickens that can fit inside the coop is 80. Mr. White's donation is closest to the number of chickens that can fit. All right, let me see. Just to be sure, 100 chickens would be too much or maybe too many. And 50 would not be enough. All right, so I'm writing this in my own way. Of course, the variations, of course, based on how we write. So you would not necessarily write what I have, but the information that I presented in terms of the suggestion, this would be the correct amount of this would be the correct amount of chickens that's needed, the ideal number of chickens, okay? So you write that in your own words. Okay, question 5. The chickens need feeders from which to feed. 10 chickens use one feeder. Based on your response in question 4, how many feeders would be needed for the farm? So we are suggesting that the school takes Mr. White's donation of 70. So even though based on question 3, it can hold a maximum of 80, right? It can hold a maximum of 80. We are only taking the 70 from Mr. White. So that's the number we're going to be working with. So it says, based on your response in question 4, how many feeders would be needed for the farm? So we're working with the 70 for based on Mr. White's donation. All right, so it says how many feeders will be needed. Since 10 chicken use one feeder, what we would do is to divide the number of chickens, right? All right, let me get back to my writing. So what we would do is, so we'll have 70 chickens divided by 10, okay? Because remember, 10 use one feeder, so we have 10 chickens, we divide them into groups of 10, okay? And that equals 7. So 7 feeders will be needed. And of course, there are different ways to do these questions, so you don't necessarily have to do this my way. You could simply add up 10 plus 10 plus 10 and put 1 for each of those. You would still get your marks, okay? So this is one way of doing it. Just as long as you show your work and how you came about finding out the number of feeders needed, and you show your work and it's correct, then you will get your marks. All right, so question 6 says, a farm store has 2 options when selling the feeders. The options are outlined in the table below. Use the information in the table to help you answer question 6. All right, so question 6, option A. Feeders are sold individually. One feeder costs $300. Option B, feeders are sold by the case. One case has 5 feeders, okay? One case costs $1,300. All right, which option is better for the school? Explain your choice. And I think after this question is the end of the paper, okay? So quite enough time for you guys to figure out what the answers should have been. All right, so let's look at the 2 options now. We have to do some calculations first to determine which of the option is better, and then we're going to be explaining our choice, okay? So option A, in option A, how many feeders do we need? We need 7 feeders. Remember, that was what from the information up here. 70 chickens, and with 10 each use a feeder, so we need 7 feeders, okay? So that's the number we're working with, 7 feeders based on our answer in question 5. So option A, 7 feeders at 300 each would be 7 times 300. Writing with my fingers, guys, bear with me. Okay, 7 times 3, that's 21. So it would cost us $2,100 or $2,100. All right, option B. All right, we need 7, but one case has 5. So we would need to get 2 cases in order to get 7 feeders, okay? So we couldn't just buy one case, and they're not sold individually in option B. So we would have to get 2 cases, okay? 2 cases has 10. All right, so 2 cases would be 2 times 1,300, and that equals 2,600. All right, so if we choose option 1, we would purchase 7 individual feeders. They are sold individually for $300 each. It would cost us $2,100. If we go with option B, we would have to get 2 cases because they're not sold individually. One case has 5. We will still need 2 more, so we would have to purchase another case. So another $1,300. So we would have to spend $2,600. So which of these options would be better for the school? I'm going to try to type that in instead of writing, because it's a lot when I try to write it with my finger. So option A would be better for the school because it would cost less than option B. All right, let me put the amount that it will cost right here. It will cost 2,100, which is less than option B, which costs $2,600. Option A would allow the school to get the exact number of feeders it needs without spending more money. All right, so pretty much something like that. I'm just typing randomly, but guys, you have the time to think about how you would want to put your answer. But pretty much the question or the result would be that option A is better because it costs 2,100, which is less than option B, okay? Option A would allow you to get the exact number of feeders that you need, right? At a lower price than option B, which would give you more feeders, but you don't need all those feeders and you'd end up spending more. So option A is the better choice. All right, so that's the end of the exam. Fairly straightforward, pretty easy once you understand the concepts. Again, please remember to share, subscribe, comment. What else? Just get this video out to as many students as possible. Okay, and just stick around because we do have other content that we'll be posting in short order. So, as I always say, see you in the next video.